Hey y'all, welcome to Men in the Making. Today I'm going to share the 5 principles I use for setting and achieving goals. For those of you who stick around till the end, I'm going to share a bonus too. So stay tuned and let's get to it. So the first principle is you have to figure out your fuel. You have to find your why. Why do you want to accomplish these goals? Because your why is going to be what drives you. It's going to be something that is higher than the goal itself. That's going to drive you to your objectives. Because the objectives themselves won't really drive you all the time. You might get motivation out of excitement for your goals, but at least in my life I've found that I have to have a bigger vision that my goals serve. So for example, if it's health and fitness, I want to be healthy and I want to be fit because I love martial arts and I want to be able to do martial arts because I want to be a healthy father who leads as a good example for both my wife and my kids. I want to set the standard. For entrepreneurship, I don't want to have a boss outside of God because I want to be able to determine what I do with my time. So I can spend time on my kids, I can spend time on my career, I can bring them together as needed. I have my whys, and these have kept me driven through both failure and success. They've allowed me to stay stoic and consistent day in, day out, no matter what is going on. And that brings us to principle number 2. You have to just get started. So many people I know, when I talk to them about what I'm working on, and they start to share what they want to work on, they come up with reasons why they're not ready, or it's not the right time yet, or they're not good enough yet, and to be frank, that's a load of crap. You're never going to be ready, you're never going to be good enough, and you're never going to be perfect. So my strategy that I've used is, if it's something that requires research or maybe an initial foundation, I'll spend maybe 10 to 20 hours doing a little bit of upfront research, getting just good enough at it to start. And then I just start. Everything I've learned from experience. Like the biggest lessons in my life I've gotten from experience. I didn't know how to run a profitable business when I started my first business 4 years ago, and now I do. And it was the lessons from the first business that taught me what to do better on this business. So leaning on the previous principle, right, just getting started, one of the biggest roadblocks I see in people is that they're afraid of not being perfect. They're afraid of not being ready enough. So principle number 3 is abandon perfectionism. You have to abandon perfectionism to give yourself permission to just start. In other words, you have to give yourself permission to start ugly so that you can just get started. The only caveat being, sometimes there is a necessary reason to strategize when or how you start, but that's typically only once you've already got some progress. For example, with my business, we are working on building up our sales team, and there are some other things that we want to do as well, but in terms of allocating our available resources, we're focused on the sales team first, and then we're going to start that thing. We're going to start those next steps. So that's a situation where it makes sense to strategize it and plot it out. But we've already started. I started this journey 6 years ago. I got the giant spoon of entrepreneurship out and I started eating shit when I was 19, and I launched my first business. And I haven't quit. And because I've stayed in it and I've allowed myself to start ugly and then get better, 5 years later, I have my first operationally profitable business. And now I'm in the process of learning how to scale it. So wrapping up principle 3, you have to abandon perfectionism. Now before we move on, we've already covered 3 principles. And I just want to say, you got this. So say it with me, ihagchachun to victory, let's keep after it. And moving on to principle number 4, systems of accountability. You need to have systems of accountability. Whether that is a friend, a social network that you post your progress and failures to, you're a priest or pastor, your colleagues, personal trainer, whatever it is, have something outside of just yourself that holds you accountable to your objectives. Whether it's being in the gym consistently or starting a business and making sure that you stay consistent with the day in and day out of what it takes to make progress on your goals, you need to have something in place that helps you stay accountable that's outside of yourself, because you will be tempted to slack. As far as I've come in life, I'm still human, and we all struggle with demons. I personally tend to stress eat. It's a demon that's kind of running my family, and I have chosen that I have decided that I am going to be the one to kill that demon, because I don't want my kids to deal with that. I want my kids' nutrition to be easy for them. I've had to earn it. I want it to be easier for my kids. So I have layers of accountability. Not only am I accountable to myself, I'm gonna feel like shit if I break my own discipline. I'm accountable to my friend, my dear friend David, who you all have met in previous videos. He's with me all the time because we work together all the time. And he calls me out if he notices I'm going over my pre-planned portions. And my personal trainer, I have to send him all of my meals and my daily weights. And if I'm screwing up, he's gonna call me out. So have systems of accountability. Have someone who's on a similar boat or has already succeeded in it that can help you stay accountable to what you need to do and offer encouragement as needed. Now, finally, on to principle number 5. The most important principle for success. The source of all of my successes over the last, I'd say 2 years, is learning to let go and give everything to God. And I'm not saying some generic God. No, I am an Orthodox Christian. I mean Jesus, our Lord, Jesus Christ in heaven. Being able to detach from the outcomes that you don't have control over will allow you to go forth and deal with the ups and downs without personalizing the swings, because ultimately your destiny is in God's hands. There are some things that are in your control. Weight loss and physical training is in your control. For example, if I choose to overeat on a certain day, that's my fault. I didn't pray enough. I wasn't disciplined enough. I didn't say no to those temptations, and I should have. I had full control over that failure. But other things like business, you don't have control over which deals go through and which don't. The only thing you can control is your input, how much you pay attention, and how much you learn from the ups and downs, and what you do about it. This will give you the strength to be stoic and consistent and disciplined, no matter how rocky the seas are. Has He not commanded us to go forth and be bold and courageous, because He is with us wherever we go? Knowing this will give you the strength to accomplish anything. Now, if you've made it to the end, you've made it this far, I've just covered 5 principles, the 5 principles that I use to set and accomplish goals. If you just follow these 5, you are ahead of 90% of everybody. Because let's be honest, most people never try. But since you stuck around, you get to enjoy the bonus 2 that I have stored away for y'all. And that brings me to number 6, depersonalize failure. This is where number 5 comes in. And as a matter of fact, number 5 plays into every single one of the principles I've talked in here. Having faith plays into and is the root and foundation of all of the principles I talk about here. But as I said when discussing number 5, in principle number 6, depersonalize failure, if you are relying on your own strength and you are seeing yourself as the source of victory and success and not God, well then failure is your fault. But by giving it to God and trusting that the doors He opens and the doors He closes were the ones that were meant to be opened and closed, failure is an easier pill to swallow. Eventually you're going to learn enough to where you're going to get enough failures in there that you start to know what to say yes and no to, and you're going to start to see your first successes. That's how it worked for me. I launched Icebreak and Atmosource, my first 2 businesses. I burnt a load of money and ate a bunch of dirt trying to learn this stuff. I spent a year digesting it, and I finally launched my first operationally profitable business this year. So to wrap up this principle, detach from failure. It's part of the process. You can do it. Don't take it personally. Just eat the learn from it, get up and keep going. And lastly, principle number 7. You have to be patient. Anything that was worthwhile will never be easy. It's going to take time, it's going to take iterations, it's going to take failures and successes. Success itself, whether it's training, diet, romantic relationships, family, your faith life, your business, whatever it is, etc. Success is a marathon, not a sprint. Plan for the long term and don't give up. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you guys so much for tuning in through the whole thing. I sincerely hope and pray that these principles are useful to you as they have been useful to me. So on that note, my brothers, let's stay after it, let's stay hungry, and I'll see you on the next one.